Okay, so part 2 of source analysis. Now we're actually going to go break down a source. So hopefully you've all taken a moment to look at the source. You have a little box below, which is step 1 of interpreting a source, right? So this would be the first thing you do in your paragraph. That question states analysis/interpretation. So in brackets it says, what is happening in the image? Provide a short description. Now, as we mentioned in the Understanding Source Analysis Essays document, there's information on this source, this image. You can also call them political cartoons. There's information that's relevant and there's information that's irrelevant when you start summarizing what you're seeing. So, what might be relevant in this image? Yes. The sign, right? Which one? The one at the top? Yeah. Yeah. So the sign at the top, we read that. It says, Salvation Army drop-off location. Give us anything you no longer have any use for. And there's a little blurb at the bottom of your image explaining what the Salvation Army is. It's like a donation center. Okay. So the sign, that's relevant. That's good. The text box. Okay, so we have this guy working here. He's saying, that's right, Captain. Someone dropped off the entire Senate. Okay, and then what else might be relevant? So last one, the people, right? So those are the 3 key things in this source that are relevant. You have the people, and who are they? They're the Senate. You have this conductor, owner guy, whatever, what he's saying, and you have the sign at the top, okay? So you can add that in your summary, right? And you want to be as straightforward as possible. Like, you're not trying to convince this person of anything. You're not trying to sound smart. You're just simply explaining. In the source, the author shows the Senate being dropped off at the Salvation Army with the quote. So you can add, there's a sign that says that it's meant for any item that is, what is the word here, that you no longer have any use for. There is a man standing there talking to his captain saying that someone dropped off the entire Senate. These are all relevant information. This is all relevant information. What you don't want to include that, hey, they're in a brick building, there's windows, they're dressed. The person marking your essay doesn't like that. They don't really care about that, right? Unless the source has something to do with them not being dressed, right? But that's not the case here, right? So take a moment to summarize what is happening in the image, providing a short description. Hopefully I helped you along with that. Everybody should do well on this assignment because I'm going to basically give you the answers. We're going to get the answers together, rather. Okay. I'm actually just going to shut this off. Okay, so if you flip over the page, what you'll see is you have the author's perspective / main issue. So some questions to narrow your understanding down, boys, is what is the point of this cartoon? What is the message this person's trying to give? I'm trying to think of a better word rather than saying point. I don't think every student understands that. But what is the message the author is trying to get across to their audience? Okay, so what do you think the artist of this cartoon is trying to say about the Senate and about the Canadian government? Yeah. That they're not useful. Okay. Yeah. I think this source is very easy and clear in that regard. The author's perspective on the Senate is that the Senate is not useful. With that, you can ask bias. Does this source have any biases? Do you think this person is against the Senate? Very likely, right? And maybe you can think of 1 or 2 reasons why that could be. It's not necessarily explained in the source. I'll give you a moment to work on that section as well. Okay, now the last step for your assignment in the grade 9 is is reconnecting to what you've learned in the classroom. So ask yourself, what have you learned about the Senate that you know about that connects to this source, right? What is the role of the Senate? What do they do? How do they function? What are some of the criticisms of the Senate? And that will help you to connect your paragraph to why the author of this source has this opinion. So I see some of you are doing something really smart. You're looking back through your notes, right? Go back to those questions that relate to the Senate. Go right back to your classroom notes to reconnect back to the main issue of the source, right? We already determined that this image, this source, is critical of the Senate. Why? Why does this author think the Senate is useless? Okay, I'll give you a moment to do that.